Imagine walking into a store with $10,000 in cash and being told, sorry, you can't buy this bag. Not because it's sold out, not because there's a wait list, but because the store has decided you haven't spent enough on other stuff to earn the right to buy this one bag. That's Hermès. And it's not a bug, it's the most profitable business strategy in fashion. Welcome to the economics of artificial scarcity. In normal economics, when the price of something goes up, demand goes down. Basic, supply and demand. Econ 101. But luxury doesn't follow normal economics. Luxury follows what economists call the Veblen effect, named after Thorstein Veblen, a guy who studied rich people in 1899 and realized something wild. For certain goods, higher prices actually increase demand. The more expensive a Rolex is, the more people want it. The harder it is to get a Birkin bag, the longer the wait list gets. The more exclusive a Ferrari is, the more people line up. Why? Because you're not buying the product. You're buying the signal. Think about that for a second. When was the last time you saw someone brag about how accurate their watch is? Nobody does that, because accuracy isn't the point. A $12 Casio watch tells time, just as well as a $12,000 Rolex. Probably better, actually. But the Rolex doesn't exist to tell time. It exists to tell everyone around you something about your status, your wealth, your taste. That's the Veblen good. A product with a price is the product. If Rolex suddenly cost $500, nobody would want one. The high price isn't the barrier, it's the entire point. And the luxury companies, they understand this better than anyone, which is why they do everything in their power to make sure prices never come down. Let me show you how the most extreme version of this works. The Hermès Birkin bag. A Birkin starts at around $10,000. Some limited editions go for $300,000 or more, and you cannot just walk in and buy one. That's not how it works. Hermès has an unofficial system that the fashion world calls building a purchase history. Before they'll offer you a Birkin, you need to spend tens of thousands of dollars on other Hermès products, scarves, belts, home goods, perfume. You're essentially paying an entrance fee to earn the privilege of paying for the thing you actually want, and even then you don't choose which Birkin you get. The sales associate chooses for you, the color, the leather, the size. Take it or leave it. Think about how insane this is from a normal business perspective. What other industry on earth makes you audition to spend money? Can you imagine a car dealership telling you, sorry, you haven't bought enough floor mats to earn the right to buy this sedan? Most companies beg you to buy their product. Hermès makes you beg to buy theirs, and it works spectacularly. Hermès makes about $15 billion in annual revenue with an operating margin of 42%. For context, Apple's operating margin is about 30%. Hermès is more profitable per dollar than Apple. And here's the statistic that should blow your mind. Birkin bags have appreciated in value by an average of 14% per year over the past 35 years. The S&P 500 averages about 10%. A handbag has been a better investment than the stock market. That's what artificial scarcity creates. Not just a product, an asset. Hermès isn't the only one playing this game. The entire luxury industry runs on manufactured scarcity. But the methods are fascinating. Ferrari caps production at around 14,000 cars per year, not because they can make more, but because making more would destroy the brand. Their CEO has said publicly, we will always sell one car less than the market demands. That's not a production constraint. That's a business strategy. Rolex creates artificial wait lists. A steel Daytona has a retail price of about $15,000, but the waitlist is 2 to 3 years long. On the secondary market, that same watch sells for $30,000 to $40,000. Rolex could make more watches. They absolutely have the factory capacity. But why would they? The waitlist is the marketing. Every person who waits 2 years for a Daytona becomes a walking advertisement the day they finally get one. Louis Vuitton burns unsold inventory, literally. They'd rather destroy product than sell it at a discount. Because a single discounted Louis Vuitton bag damages the perception that the brand is worth full price. This seems irrational until you understand the math. A $3,000 bag sold at 50% off for $1,500 doesn't just lose $1,500 in revenue. It tells every customer who paid full price that they overpaid. It damages the perceived value of every bag in every store worldwide. The cost of discounting isn't the discount, it's the destruction of the price signal, so they burn it instead. Because ashes are worth more than discounts. Here's the deeper mechanism. Luxury isn't selling products. It's selling social hierarchy. Every society has status signals. In medieval times, it was purple cloth, because the dye was absurdly expensive. In some cultures, it's land. In modern Western society, it's brands. And the luxury industry has figured out how to industrialize status. They create products that serve as visible markers of wealth and taste, then carefully control who can access them to maintain the signal's value. Think about it, like a language. A Birkin bag says, I have money and connections. A Rolex says, I've arrived. A Ferrari says, I'm not just rich, I'm someone. If everyone could buy these things, the language would lose its meaning. The signal would become noise. And what happens when a signal becomes noise? It becomes worthless. So the luxury brands act as gatekeepers, not of quality, but of exclusivity. And here's why this matters economically. The global luxury market is worth about $1.5 trillion. That's bigger than the GDP of Australia, and it's growing at 5 to 7% per year, consistently outpacing global economic growth. Why? Because inequality is growing. And what does growing inequality need? Visible proof of who's on which side. As the gap between rich and poor widens, the demand for visible status markers increases. The more people there are who can't afford luxury, the more valuable luxury becomes to those who can. Luxury doesn't thrive despite inequality. It thrives because of it. So let's recap the anti-logic of luxury economics. Because it's the opposite of everything they teach you in business school. Normal business, lower prices to increase demand. Luxury, raise prices to increase demand. Normal business, make more to sell more. Luxury, make less to sell more. Normal business, the customer is always right. Luxury, the customer must earn the right to buy. Normal business, discounts clear inventory. Luxury, discounts destroy value, burn the inventory instead. Normal business, scale production for efficiency. Luxury, limit production for exclusivity. Every single rule is inverted. And yet the luxury industry has some of the highest profit margins, strongest brand loyalty, and most resilient revenue in all of business. Hermès barely dipped during COVID. LVMH, which owns Louis Vuitton, Dior, and dozens of other brands, has a market cap of several $100 billion. Bernard Arnault, LVMH's CEO, has been the world's richest person, multiple times. All from selling things that are objectively not that different from cheaper alternatives. The craftsmanship is real, sure, but is a Birkin really 50 times better than a $200 leather bag? Is a Rolex really 100 times more accurate than a Casio? Of course not. You are not paying $10,000 for leather and stitching. You are paying $10,000 for what the bag says about you. So here's the machine. Step 1. Create a product with genuine quality, but price it far above cost. Not based on materials, but on the signal it provides. Step 2. Restrict supply. Never satisfy demand. Make people wait, spend, and earn the right to buy. Step 3. Protect the price signal at all costs. Never discount. Never overproduct. Burn inventory before you let it go. Cheap. Step 4. Let the secondary market do your marketing. When a $10,000 bag resells for $15,000, every potential buyer sees it as an investment, not an expense. The result, a product that gets more valuable as it gets more expensive. A business where saying no to customers is the growth strategy. A money machine powered by the most human of all instincts, the desire to be seen as special. That's the luxury machine. And it might be the most honest of all the money machines we've covered, because at least it's transparent about what it's really selling. Not a bag, not a watch, not a car. A feeling. That was the final machine in this series. We've covered Starbucks, the bank, the attention economy, the subscription trap, plaid war monopoly, and now artificial scarcity. Five ways the world takes your money or makes money from you using systems you were never taught about. But here's the thing. Once you see the machines, you can't unsee them. And that changes how you make every financial decision going forward. If this series opened your eyes, share it with someone who needs to see it too, and subscribe, because the machines never stop running. This is Money Machines. Thanks for watching.